sir?
Yeah, that is the correct slide. If you can move on to the second one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
association. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
yes, that's right. So let me recall my association with CK. I remember we first met at India International Center. He had sent me an email, and I remember he's presenting the book to me. That was the time the book had come, and he explained to me what it all meant. And I must say, that was absolutely incredible insight. I particularly remember he's showing me the Arvind Eye Care, and particularly the table where he shows how that Royal College of Ophthalmologists, their sort of results post-surgery as against Arvind Eye Care, and how Arvind Eye Care was beating them at a cost that was a small fraction. I still have that vivid memory, and I've preserved this book with his own autograph. That is where we all began. And of course, there were a number of other interactions. We were both members of Prime Minister's National Innovation Council, then Reliance Innovation Council, Microsoft India Advisory Board, and Board of Directors of Vibhushan Unilever. And I'll tell you something interesting. Each time we came into a meeting, like magnets, we were attracted to each other, I suppose. And I always sat with him and learned from him, not only in terms of what he said, but how he said it. He would go quiet for an hour, but then he will just talk about something for 2 to 3 minutes, making an enormous sense. So that way, he has been my real guru. Next slide. Next slide. The Reliance Innovation Council, I remember I was chairman, and we had an incredible board with CK, of course, the star. We had Bob Grubbs, the Nobel laureate. We had John Mary Lane, the Nobel laureate. Bill Hasseltine, the human genome science creator. George Whitesides, again a genius, and Mukesh himself was a member. Next slide. We learned a lot from CK. What I did was, particularly for this meeting, I went through all the minutes of the meetings that we had last week, and just picked out some of the statements that he had made. Like, one of these was for the future in rather than extrapolating the past. The next was focus on next practices, not best practice. Then always keep aspirations greater than the resources. I still remember he's explaining to us that resources are here, aspirations are here, and aspirations have to be higher. And as resources goes up, aspirations come down, and never do that. Then use innovation sandbags for driving constraints-driven innovations. Then when Krishnan's and his book came, I remember this new game of innovation is co-creation of personalized experience, n equal to 1, and assessing multi-geographic resources R equal to G. And his last message, India should look at sustainability as an opportunity rather than wait for international standards. And this is absolutely incredible, because this is exactly what is being done right now. One of the things we did together was to write this paper, Innovation's Holy Grail, More from Less for More. And this finds the place among the top 10 must-read papers in innovation today. The thoughts actually began, I remember I was giving this talk in the ATSC Innovation Forum lecture in Canberra. And the talk was titled as Gandhi Engineering, More from Less for More. And it was more for an effect. And I'll explain to you why I said that. Because Mahatma Gandhi had said that Earth provides enough to satisfy every man's need, but not every man's greed. That is, get more from less, preserve the current resources. And he had also said that I would prize every invention of science made for the benefit for all. So that was doing it for more and more people. And that became Gandhi engineering, getting more performance from less resource and more people. By the way, just hold on to these slides, don't change, because I want to emphasize something. We are used to more from more, making high technology work for the rich, very easy. We are used to less from less, all right, making low technology work for the poor. Here we are saying something different. We are saying make high technology work for the poor, by the way. There is a very different message here. Next slide, please. And therefore, we are almost talking about, despite income inequality, ensure access equality. All right. looks like impossible. Next. But as Rama eloquently pointed out, this is what has happened. Income inequality is 1,000:1 here, but the access equality is 1:1. Next. And of course, we can now talk about uh, several examples. Rama gave some of them. Like a high quality hepatitis B vaccine, 40% cheaper, 40 times cheaper, not 40% by the way. That's the important part. And you would say, how do you know high quality? Because 40% of UNICEF supply comes from these, all right? High quality cataract eye surgery, 100 times cheaper, the Arvind Eye Care example that I gave. High quality open heart surgery, Narayan Rudalaya, 20 times cheaper, as good as the New York surgeons. And this is something that I'll come back to the end, because no talk of mine can be complete unless I talk about Jaipur food. So I'm very glad, Deepa, you also had a slide on Jaipur food. I'm very happy to see D.R. Mehta Sahib in the audience. Next one. So MLM mantra then went around the world, to be honest. Next slide. What happened was within 6 months after our paper was published, I remember World Economic Forum had a half-a-day session on more from less for more. Next slide. And then I remember giving a TED talk, which is, of course, has been translated in 23 languages. Next one. And then I really took on to it. I remember first I talked about this in Canberra, in Melbourne. And I remember the next opportunity was in Washington, in World Bank. And that discussion actually led to a $55 million project for Vietnam that was on inclusive innovation. There were several other talks. The interesting one was, for example, in Manila at the Asian Development Bank. And I remember they're getting incorporated this particular concept and creating new projects. And the one was at Brussels in the European Commission. There was something like 2,000 Europeans. And I remember in their Horizon 2020, they're sort of incorporating elements of these. In Medellin, for example, in the World Association of Industrial Technology Research Organizations. Interesting part was Beijing, by the way, because China has been so much ahead of us, but for some reason, they were deeply concerned about social disharmony and this idea of despite income inequality, access equality basically sort of appealed to them. So what I did was that the CK's message, actually, I was a messenger, I would say, carrying it around the world. Next. Then you would say, well, you are carrying it around the world. What did you do yourself? Well, in my mother's name, I created a Garje Marathi Inclusive Innovation Award. And that was based on basically CK's, I mean, what I learned from CK, don't go for the best practice, but for the next practice. And this was called innovations the more from less way in terms of affordability, acceptability, availability, etc., etc. And I would just give you some samples because these are, this is the 10th year of the award, sorry, 11th year of the award. Look at one of these, for example. This is Mishkin Ingawale. He got this award for Touch HV, and he's getting it from Anuaga, as you can see. And yeah, if you can go to the next slide. And you can see what he did was a ₹10 non-invasive hemoglobin test, actually. The best practice is invasive with needles. This is non-invasive with no needles. Cost per test was 150 rupees. He came in, brought it down to 10 rupees. Next slide. And this is a very important slide. That is what I mean by making high technology work for the poor. Because when he created Touch H1B, he looked at high technology like photosmography, spectrophotometry, advanced software for photon scattering, and that went into it. It was making high technology work for the poor. Similarly, the version, no, please. Next.
Sorry.
Previous one.
Yeah.
Similarly, for example, this is Touch HB2, where he captures the picture of conjunctiva and uses the method of reflectance photometry to estimate hemoglobin content. These are high technologies being made to work for the poor. Next. Look at this Anjani Mashelkar Inclusive Innovation Award, which went to Rahul Rastogi for his ECG device. Next. And you can see here, this was a personal 12-lead ECG event monitor, basically a portable credit card size, 2,500 rupees. He has gone to 8 countries. And I have this particular device with me, by the way. You can buy it for 2,500 on Amazon. And the way it works is a very simple one. I mean, you have these two sensors here. You put your 2 thumbs for 15 seconds. You have another sensor here. This is your heart. 1, 2, 3, 15, 15, 15 seconds. And below the heart, 15, 15, 15 seconds. And if you are downloading an app called Sanket, it will go to any smartphone. What it means is that if there's a woman who has pain in the chest and she needs an ECG, she doesn't have to be put in a bullock cart or put on a motorcycle or a jeep and taken 10 kilometers. She can do it from basically home. That is a transformation. Next slide. So this is from best practice to next practice. This is what we normally do. Some of us have already had ECGs. This is the next practice. Next slide. The other one, I'm giving some samples. Mir Shah, for example, eye breast device. Next one. You can see this is US FDA certified, and it is just $1 breast cancer screening. What does it do? It is a eye breast low-cost tactile sensor that measures tissue stiffness difference in real time without having the painful biopsy. It is ultra portable, accurate, minimal training is required, it is wireless, cloud, connected, instant results, etc. Now you might say, this looks like a good toy, but what happens to it? Next slide. Next slide shows what has happened. It is benefiting the whole world. Actually, there is a partnership of UE Life Sciences and GE Healthcare, and they're going to 25 countries and benefiting over 500 million women. Next slide. There is something else that is interesting. You know, in 2020, in the 10th award, I actually made 2 awards. They're small awards, by the way, 1 lakh each, but one of them I said for COVID. Anybody who comes out with great breakthroughs in COVID. And you can see, for example, what had happened in January 2021 in the US. The headlines are in Los Angeles, ambulances circle for hours, ICUs are full. This is what COVID-19 has in store for the rest of the country. And April 2021, of course, India, Delhi hospitals fast running out of ICU beds for COVID-19 patients. And you know, the award that we gave, next slide, was again to MLM Way, where Mudit Dandawat, a young fellow, by the way, he developed a technology which can convert any bed into step-down ICU rapidly. Is a continuous contact-free vitals monitor, 10 times cheaper than the product that I used in ICU, but 98.4% accuracy of 7 critical medical parameters, by the way. No maintenance, consumables or prior technical knowledge. You can do it for care at home. You can do it for ward monitoring. Incredible. Next slide. And as we see now, it is spreading all over India. By the way, 4,000 plus beds converted, 10,000 patients monitored. The most important part is that as the spurt of the coronavirus pandemic took place, we're running short of doctors and nurses. And incredibly, this, by the way, there is an artificial intelligence based systems incorporated. So not only it is remotely monitored, but as the patient is going to go critical in future, basically there is a signal that is sent. So therefore he can be shifted to sort of a real ICU. I must say also, however, Rama, we are all enthusiasm about India, but I'll tell you the sad part of this. The sad part of this is that this is an incredible device, but the public hospitals can't buy it because they have to go for a tender and there is nobody else who can give it, number one. So the only model that we have was to go to corporate social responsibility And individuals now are donating beds, by the way. Okay, some donating 10, some donating 50, some donating 100. My friend, chief scientist of Australia, Alan Finkel, gave $10,000 and so on and so forth. So I think there are challenges in India of a very different kind. Next slide. And as Rupayu pointed out, we need MLM even more now, because inequalities are amplified by pandemic. As you can see, for example, they were decreasing, and this is of course the data year old and how they are increasing. They were decreasing at 1.2%, 1.5%. They have gone up by 7.10% now. So we require MLM innovation even more today. Next slide. I go back to sort of what CK and I wrote in our Harvard Business Review paper. Many people, many actors have to come into sort of play, but big business also has to come into play. And actually in that paper, we are suggesting, as a matter of fact, what can be done. How we have to move from technologically sophisticated performance-rich products to frugal, functional, but high-quality products. Remove features to reduce cost to reinventing the product from ground up. Premium price, high margins to affordable price, high volumes. Technology push, product cloud approach to customer-centric marketplace approach. Current markets, old money, markets, new money. And use developed products to transform into the market to building new global growth platforms based on emerging markets. Next slide. Can this be done? Next slide, please. Yes, we have a brilliant example here of Jio. This was last quarter's results. It says that Jio braves COVID-19 challenges, was 47.5% net profit jump to so many crores in Q4 2021. The interesting part is that this MLM business is doing well by doing good for 400 million customers, by the way. Next slide. And the way it has been done, if you look at our two mantras of affordable price, high volumes, new markets, new money, that's exactly what has happened. And if you see before Jio, for example, this 4G OT phone was available for $300 US, now 23. Data per GB cost, not $5, but just 1 cent, the cheapest in the world. And voice is actually sort of free. So that is possible. So the table that you saw sort of earlier on, which were the messages, that can actually happen. Next slide. The way it has to be done, we are in a hurry. And we have to make things happen fast. So there is this book that I and Ravi Pandit wrote on leapfrogging to pole vaulting. And this came up with a discussion that I had with Mukesh, because I still chair the Reliance Innovation Council. And he said, Doc, we must leapfrog and do this. I said, let's think about why does the frog leap? He leaps because he is afraid of the predators and he jumps a few feet. Should we be doing that, or should we be pole vaulting? The size of the pole determines the size of our aspiration. But the purpose of that, and you can't read it here, but it is about creating magic of radical yet sustainable transformation. Doing MLM very fast, not just getting more from this for more, but doing it very fast. Next slide, please. And you can see, by the way, this got the Best Business Book of the Year award. Next slide. Yes. And you can see, for example, how one pole vaulted, one was to this position, and suddenly India has pole vaulted to #1 position in mobile data usage in February 17. So from 155th position, we did not leapfrog to 100. We pole vaulted to #1. Next slide. And the most important part was the 50 million users, for example. Telephone took 50 years, mobile took 12 years, YouTube took 4 years, but Reliance Jio pole vaulting took 83 days. So it is possible to do radical yet sustainable transformation at that speed. Next slide. And of course, there is a assured framework that I have created, basically, which is there in the book, by the way. And actually, Deepa, it matches what we are saying. For example, you said, I noted down here, You said lower costs, right? So of course it is affordable. That framework is there. Ease of use, yes, universal, that covers it. Sustainability, yes, it is there. Scale, yes, it is there. But I'm also talking about rapid, excellent, and distinctive part. Because poor have the rights to have more distinctive, more excellent products, basically, making high technology work for the poor. And you can quite clearly see this meets all the parameters, actually. It is affordable, yes. It is scalable, yes, 400 million. It is sustainable, it is making good money. It is user-friendly, you can see these two ladies. It was done rapidly, yes, 83 days. Excellence in, yes, 4G LTE technology. And it is basically distinct. So it is possible to do such transformations. Next slide. And of course, this $12,000 foot, of course, doesn't meet that sort of criteria. But I have to end with, next slide, the $28 foot. Without this, I can't complete my lecture. So can you show the film, please? Yes, if you click.
The film is not playing. I'm just done.
Oh, film is not playing.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a great pity. That's a great pity. Anyway, I think, Mehta Sahab, you know what the film is. And let me describe what the film shows. Here, this young man actually climbs up the tree and jumps and then runs a kilometer in 4 minutes 30 seconds. It's a great pity you couldn't see the film. And my normal question at the end of this is sort of how many of you can run a kilometer in 4 minutes 30 seconds? In an audience of 500, 4 or 5 hands go up. And then my point is that yes, only 1% can run. 99% is able to beat the 99% remaining one. So affordable excellence, or more from less for more, does this. He can beat all of us, basically. And I suppose that was actually the message that CK always wanted to sort of give us. Next slide, please. And that is my thank you slide. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity to pay my own respects to my great legendary friend. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Namaste, sir. Sorry for